welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to have AFL 26 predict the AFL 25 season. So we'll do maybe like after every 5 rounds we'll do have a look at the ladder, the games, have a look through some stats, and then we'll just go through the season and see how it goes, I guess. So let's start. Before we jump in, I'm going to predict that Brisbane win the flag. I'll toss an 10 between Brisbane and Collingwood. And Richmond, I reckon Richmond finish wooden spoon. I think John Newcomb's going to win the Brownlow. He seems to be very good in this game. Always rack up heaps of disposals. And who's going to win the Coleman? I'm going to say Brisbane, Collingwood. I think... I don't know. I think Josh Tracy will win the Coleman. So let's jump straight in. Alrighty, so we've simulated the first 5 games. And yeah, as you can see, predictions were not off to a good start, as Brisbane and Collingwood have only won 2 games each. Nick Larkey's leading the Coleman. I thought about saying Nick Larkey, but I just didn't think North were going to be good enough with 11, King 10. Then we got Thilthorpe and Jake Lever on 9. Over to disposals, Brayshaw's leading with 145, Dangerfield 139, Newcomb 137, tackles, Jack Viney 25, some clearances, Will Graham 24, Bailey Williams smashing the hit outs. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's have a look at this ladder, actually. Let's have a proper look at the ladder. Look at that. Hawthorn lost in opening round to Sydney, by the looks of that. And then have won the next 4 to put themselves first on the ladder. Geelong, Sydney and Carlton round out the top 4. Melbourne and St Kilda in the top 8 with 3 wins and 2 losses. And then Bulldogs in 7th, Crows in 8th, GWS, Brisbane, Freo, Collingwood all find themselves not in the top 8. So an interesting start to the year in terms of, just it all really. But yeah, so we'll jump ahead another 5 rounds and see how it's going. Okay, so it looks like a fair bit has happened in those 5 rounds that we just simulated there. If we look at the ladder, Hawthorn and Sydney first and second, but Sydney just lost to Carlton, who are now down in 6th after that game. Gold Coast have come back up to 7th, Freo in the 8 now, Collingwood still not. Brisbane down in 14th, and they've won 2 in a row. West Coast last. And then we go over to the stats. Thilthorpe leads the goals by 3 over McDonald, Larkey and Voss. Liberatore still leading the disposals. Still up there in the disposals with Newcomb and Brayshaw. So I think that's the same 3, just different order. The Callies up there in tackles. Bond, Viney, Liberatore. Liberatore looks like he could be Brownlow season form right now. That'll be interesting to see how that turns out. What was else I was going to look at? I can't remember now, but this is, a lot going down. And look, so I come out and I went back to this round, and it was a pretty interesting round. Gold Coast beat Hawthorn, Carlton beat Sydney, and then, every result here is pretty interesting. Bulldogs only just beating Essendon, Brisbane just knocking off Melbourne, West Coast beating St Kilda for just their 2nd win of the year. 10 games in, ladder's starting to form a bit here, but there is still, a lot happening here. North, out of the top 8 on just percentage, and St Kilda, who are 12th, only 1 win and a fair bit of percentage away from 4th, so a bit going down here. We'll have to see what happens. And it is just getting more insane. Brisbane's still down in 13th, Hawthorn still 1st. GWS, Geelong, Sydney rounding out the top 4. Carlton, Bulldogs and North. North have just knocked off Carlton to put themselves into the top 8. Gold Coast have fallen down. I think Gold Coast have only won 1 game in their last 5 since we simulated there. Port in 12th. A lot is going down here. I don't know what's going on. Nick Larkey leading the Coleman. He is bringing that North team into a position where they should not be. Dangerfield now leading the disposals. Liberatore's dropped to 4th. Newcomb down to 6th. And, I mean, wow. Just a lot going on. Brayshaw's dropped a long way down. A lot going on here. Oh, but I just realised Liberatore, Newcombe, and Brayshaw all have a game in hand because we're in the bye round. That makes sense. Dangerfield, though. I mean, 11 goals as well. Wow. Jeez, I wish I predicted lucky now. I just thought North weren't going to be top 8 contenders, to be honest. Tackles, Libba still up there. I mean, could Liberatore win the Brownlow? Could he? Kieran Briggs leading the hitouts at the moment, but Rowan Marshall, English, Williams, Nank all a game behind. Very interesting stuff here. I mean, it's really shaping out to be an interesting season. Very, very interesting season. The top 4 looks like they're starting to break away a little bit, but 5th to about 15th is all nice and close. Okay, now as we jump back in here at the end of round 20, just 4 games left in the season now. That top 4 group still stays the same with Hawks still first, but North still holding their spot in the 8, but they do have a big game coming up this week against St Kilda, who are, fighting. They kind of really need a win here if they want to keep their top 8 hopes alive. West Coast still in that last position. Just North are still in the 8. Look at their percentage is horrible as well. 4th worst percentage in the league, and they're holding that spot in the 8 just through, I guess, winning enough. Let's have a look at the stats. Thilthorpe leads the Coleman over Larkey and Voss by just 1. That is coming down to the wire. Liberatore still leads disposals, still leads tackles, and he's now up there in clearances as well. So, it's going to be really hard to look past him for the Brownlow. Timmy English leading the hitouts. Where are Bulldogs on the ladder? They've got a lot of players up here. They're 7th. Alrighty. That is very interesting. So, let's have a look here. What's his North points for and against? Look at that. 1,596 points for, 1,813 against, and they sit 8th. Brisbane have started to claw their way back, but they still sit out of the 8 at the moment, and their next game's against Collingwood. So, it'll be an interesting finish to the season for these teams, these 3 teams here, fighting for that top 8 spot. Carlton is still in there fighting for it, I guess, but yeah, it will be very interesting. Alrighty, so we've simulated the rest of the season, and we're at the finals now. Swans are on an incredible run if you look at their form. So are Collingwood, actually, as well. But it started to change a little bit. Hawks lost 3 of their last 4 games and have dropped to 3rd. They're still in the top 4, but they've dropped to 3rd. They're not even going to get a home qualifying final. The top 4 still stays the same, though, like team-wise. So we got Sydney first, GWS second, Hawthorn 3rd, Geelong 4th. And then to round out the top 8, Collingwood 5th, Bulldogs 6th, Freo 7th, and St Kilda 8th, as they won, 4 of their last 5. I think it could be more, but we're just looking at that bit there. They did lose the last game of the year, though, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. But yeah, so they've managed to sneak their way into the 8 after I didn't really think they would, to be honest. North, unsurprisingly, fell out late. They lost 3 of their last 4 games. So that stopped them from making it. Gold Coast didn't get in. Adelaide didn't get in. Carlton, Port, Brisbane all the way down in 14th. West Coast wooden spoon. Brisbane second last. Melbourne third last. Essendon 15th. Not too much of a surprise there, but Saints are in the finals, which is a bit surprising after where they were sitting. Bulldogs 6th is actually a little bit surprising as well, given, you look at the stats and their players were dominant. Speaking of the stats, we have a 3-way tie for the Coleman. Riley Thilthorpe, Nick Larkey, and Max King all end on 29, with Logan McDonald and Jeremy Cameron just 1 goal behind them. And then, it's very close for a lot of players here. But Riley, wow. So even with North falling out of the 8, Larkey was able to hold on and level. Draw for the Coleman. Where was Josh Tracy in the end? My prediction, nowhere to be found. Disposals, Libba ended up winning by just 8 over Patrick Dangerfield in the end. Tackles, he was second most behind Newcomb. Where did Newcomb finish in the disposals areas? Yeah, not too far down. And then clearances, Merritt, Steele, Rosie, Libba, again, not too far behind there. Tim English, most hit-outs. I mean, yeah, not too many surprises as we go along. Lance Collard with the most rebound 50s. A little bit of a surprise there. Intercept marks, Sam Taylor. I mean, look at their points. Oh my god. What is going on there? But we start off the finals now. Final we have here, Swans versus Geelong at the SCG Thursday night game. Geelong have beaten Sydney by 10 goals. Wow. So Geelong will go through to a home prelim. Second qualifying, GWS versus Hawthorn at NG. Hawthorn have beaten GWS by 8 goals. What is going on? Third and fourth have smashed first and second, the two Sydney teams. Collingwood versus St Kilda. I assume this will be another smashing for Collingwood. It is 32 points. I mean, what is going on here? Now we got Bulldogs Freo. This one might be a bit closer, but Bulldogs have been very good this year compared to Freo. But Freo have won by 3 points. What a game. Bulldogs did not lead all game, and their season comes to an end. Some of their players were having, the best seasons of their career, but it all comes to an end as they couldn't step up in finals. Now we've got a Sydney-Collingwood semi-final at the SCG, and Collingwood smashed Sydney by 67. Again, Sydney don't lead all game. They've been pumped. Scott Pendlebury with 32 and 4 goals. What is happening? What is happening in Sydney? The two Sydney teams are collapsing. GWS versus Freo. GWS managed to win and send themselves through to a prelim. Tom Green with 35 touches. Now we've got Geelong versus GWS at the MCG for a spot in the grand final. Here we go. GWS win by 26 points. There we go. So they've knocked off Geelong in Melbourne. And now we've got Hawthorn versus Collingwood to see who will book their place in the grand final against GWS. Collingwood coming from 5th, Hawthorn from 3rd. Hawthorn get the job done by 19 points. Very interesting there. Newcomb with 32. Watson and Moore and Day with 3 goals. Would have had 24 and kicked 3. Now, the grand final. GWS versus Hawthorn at the MCG. Here we go. It all comes down to this. Here we go. And Hawthorn pump GWS. 46 points. Wow, GWS were leading at half-time by just 2 points, but the premiership quarter, GWS kicked 3 goals 1 to Hawthorn's 10 goals 2. So Hawthorn win the flag, but the end of season awards. Tom Liberatore wins the Brownlow with 44 votes. Not too much of a surprise. I mean, we all saw the numbers he was putting up. Bond not far down with 30 though. That's, two Bulldogs players combining for 74. Tom Green's in there, Oliver, Dawson, Hewitt, Brayshaw, Rosie, Day, Dangerfield, Rowbottom. Alrighty, the Coleman we already know, 3-way tie. And the All-Australian team, we got Larkey, Cameron. So, hang on, Thilthorpe won the Coleman. Thilthorpe and Max King were level with Larkey for the Coleman, and they've put Cameron over him. Fair enough. Cameron might have had more score assists or more impact. Darcy Moore, Toby Bedford, and Mitch Owens in the general forward spot. Darcy Cameron, the ruck. Libba, Tom Green, Clayton Oliver, Jordan Dawson, the mids. Key defenders, Lever and Ridley. And then Haynes, Sinclair, Whitfield, and Williams were the defenders. So the premiership winning team, Hawthorn, only had Dylan Moore in there. Anyways, that is all. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.